Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I am about to share with you one of the best trolling incidents that I've seen in quite a while. It's about something I covered yesterday having to do with XRP and the position from many XRP community members that Ripple should burn its escrowed supply of XRP. There's a petition on change.org, and I've got more on this. Again, I covered it yesterday. I've got more news for you. It's been picked up by Yahoo Finance. I'm also going to share with you, just for the fun of it, there's a Twitter thread, including @HammerToe, who is Matt Hamilton, and a couple other people, and the debate was going on about whether or not XRP is centralized, and I enjoy these debates back and forth, and this one actually did spiral a little bit out of control, making it that much more worthy of sitting back and popping some popcorn in your mouth. It's good times. And also, Amazon, as it turns out, they want to build a blockchain for advertisement, so I'll end the video by covering that non-XRP related piece. Before we get going, though, if you would please delicately tap that like button, and if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP, go ahead and subscribe to that channel. All right, so here's a tweet from @BankXRP, tweeted out, "Should Ripple burn 50% of XRP supply to pump its price? @CryptoBitlord." And so, CryptoBitlord, this is the part that I covered yesterday, and I'm not sure, did I pull it up? Yeah, here we go. Here's the tweet from yesterday. We are making a change over 220 signatures to stop Ripple from dumping XRP. This is insane to me. So let me set the table here. CryptoBitlord, he is pro XRP. CryptoBitlord, he has a freaking XRP tattoo. I kid you not. He is trolling hardcore, and it is working. Oh my god, this is impressive. Like, I don't know. Like, at first, when he does stuff like this, I'm like, oh my god, I wish you wouldn't do that. But I gotta admit, in this particular case, it's gone so far with Yahoo picking up the story. I'm like, okay, well played, man. Like, you're doing it. You're doing it. But there have been a number of times where he said negative things about XRP, and then he comes out as, "Yay, just kidding," blah blah blah, and then he says a whole bunch of positive stuff. If you go through his Twitter feed over the last long period of time, you can see he tweets all sorts of positive stuff about XRP. He just likes to tweak people, and it's definitely working here. So, at first when I came across some of the more negative tweets from early on, I just assumed that he really was an anti-XRP guy, because there's no way to read what he's writing if you don't know his background. There's no way that you could read it and think anything other than, wow, he's like a Bitcoin maxi or just anti-XRP in general. And I did for a long time, but then I looked into it further after he kept popping up in my Twitter feed, and I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely messing with people here. So here's the story as picked up by Yahoo Finance, and they don't know that they just got trolled. And they titled this, "Should Ripple burn 50% of XRP supply to pump its price?" A bunch of XRP fans are getting behind a proposal led by a prominent crypto trader that Ripple should burn half the XRP held in its reserves. The logic here is that by reducing the supply, the coin's price will rise more easily, making a mint for everyone involved. The petition, started by trader CryptoBitlord, who has more than 100,000 followers on Twitter, on August 5th has over 300 signatures so far. It recommends that Ripple no longer release its supply of XRP onto the crypto market, suggesting this will lead to a pump like the good old days. I mean, is it not clear that he's joking? Like, that part, actually, I gotta admit that part does. Like the good old days. Okay, anyway, Ripple continues dumping billions of XRP on us, crashing the price, the petition states, adding, "Sure, we know that XRP is a solid coin with major potential, but this needs to stop. Much of the blame is placed on Ripple's holdings of XRP, 50% of its total supply, which is systematically sells into the market to stimulate growth of the XRP ecosystem. Those moves rapidly increase the supply of XRP, putting downward pressure on the coin. We have contacted Ripple for its response and will update the story accordingly." Let me just run through, like, even if I'm sure there's somebody out there that's listening to this who agrees with the stance that Ripple is suppressing price and or believes that they should burn their coins. Even though they're excellent stewards of the XRP community, and remind you, and they're all the money from the sales of this, they're thrown into the Spring Initiative anyway. Never mind all that. But this is ridiculous. Let me just point out a few things for you to why Ripple is not in any meaningful way suppressing the price of XRP. Consider that in 2017, when Bitcoin ran up from $1,000 to $20,000. XRP ran up from the beginning of the year half a cent up to, I can't remember what it was at the end of 2017, but in early 2018 it hit its all-time high of $3.92. The whole time that was happening, Ripple was selling XRP, and they were reporting on it. They've always been very transparent about this. So my question would be, if you believe that XRP price is being suppressed by Ripple in a meaningful way, how is it possible that it went in the span of 12 months from half a cent, XRP went from half a cent to $3.92? That's the all-time high according to livecoinwatch.com. How is that possible? And then people say, well, yeah, I had one person I was going back and forth with a little bit on Twitter within the last week or two, and I brought that point up, and he said, yeah, but this is, that was during a parabolic upward shift. It was a bull run. How can you even compare the two? And to me, that's not a valid point, because if there's demand for XRP, it proves that it can go up outside of what Ripple does. That was my whole point. But even if you can't grasp that concept, my retort to that would be, in addition to what I just stated, what about the second quarter of this year when XRP went from somewhere around, I'm going from memory here, so don't put me at the stake if I'm slightly off, but it was something like 29 cents in quarter two, and then it got to a valuation on Live Coin Watch of over 50 cents. So from 29 cents to over 50 cents, while Ripple was selling their XRP, and that's outside of a major bull run, went from 29 cents to over 50 cents, and then didn't stay above 50 for very long at all. But it did it. It did it. And Ripple, again, was selling their XRP the whole time. They did, with how much they're selling, they know how much they're selling, and they don't want to crater the market. They are aware of this. And so the point is, they know with how much they're selling, it's not cratering the market. And if it were, then you wouldn't be able to see these run-ups, not during the 2017 major run-up for the entire asset class of crypto, and also not in the second quarter of this year. So the argument to me holds no weight. Another thing that you need to consider if you have the stance that Ripple is genuinely suppressing price, and again, by the way, if you disagree with me, this is not some sort of personal affront against you. I just have a different opinion. It's okay to think differently than me, and if you've got other reasons why you think I'm wrong, feel free to put them in the comments below. I'm happy to talk about it, because I find that type of conversation engaging. I'm all about critical thinking, so if I'm ever missing anything or disagree, feel free to let me know. That's perfectly fine. It's encouraged, in fact. But consider this also. Bitcoin via the mining operations, that's actually releasing more Bitcoin onto exchanges than Ripple is entering comparatively by selling their XRP. It's not even close. And so the point is, even with that, with even more Bitcoin flowing in via mining, it's still not suppressing price in any meaningful way. Yeah, there's ups and there's downs, but it's conceptually quite similar. And so if you think that Ripple's suppressing price with XRP, then you really should think that mining is suppressing the price of Bitcoin. Now, technically, of course, supply and demand matter, and that does affect price. But what I'm saying is it's not suppressing it in a meaningful way. Of course, any sale of XRP affects the ecosystem, but it's nowhere near on a scale possible that it would absolutely suppress in the way that many in the XRP community believe it is actually being suppressed. So that's my 2 cents on that one now. And then this piece continues. The escrow system originally held 55 billion XRP, which is 55% of its 100 billion supply, split into $1 billion accounts, not dollar, 1 billion accounts. Each account is unlocked monthly, and some or all of the XRP is sold at Ripple's discretion. The company recently announced that its sales will continue to be proportionate to the conditions of the market, but at a lower rate, in the hope it will safeguard the price of XRP, but that hasn't mollified the community. And here's a quote from somebody on Twitter. Community is finally taking a stand against Ripple, dumping or de-risking billions of XRP on the community. Let's wake up and take back what was ours, one XRP fan tweeted in favor of the proposal. Okay. The biggest obstacle facing the idea is that Ripple has a lot to gain from selling its massive vault of XRP, currently valued at $15.5 billion, and very little to gain from burning it. While the company and its employees likely have other holdings of XRP, it's unlikely that the increase in value of these holdings would counteract the loss of the XRP in escrow. Also, Ripple's sales of XRP could well be positive for the cryptocurrency, since it's intended to stimulate the XRP ecosystem. For example, Ripple's deal with MoneyGram, though it's unclear how much, if any, XRP was sold to MoneyGram, resulted in the money transfer business adopting its XRapid service that uses XRP for cross-border payments. That's arguably far more valuable for the XRP ecosystem than simply having a smaller supply. Bam! Well said, Yahoo Finance writer. I like that. Some traders pointed this out, suggesting that it's wiser to take a long-term view on the escrow system, which won't be emptied until the end of 2023, because it will help to build up such an ecosystem. One XRP enthusiast said, "The more they sell, the more it is distributed among different hands, the more it is divided, the less it is exposed to manipulation. But for now, Ripple will continue to have its stranglehold on the decentralized cryptocurrency." And I don't know why they use the word stranglehold and then admitted that it's decentralized, because you don't have any permissions over the network, and in terms of price, it's clear that there is no meaningful suppression. But, so anyway, that's where we're at with that. This well played, Crypto Bitlord. Your trolliness is making news. So whatever, have at it, I guess. Okay, now here's a fun Twitter thread I wanted to share with you. There's somebody named, I'll just pronounce it McAvey. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but I'm just going to say McAvey. And I'm not going back to the very beginning, no need to, but he's debating Matt Hamilton on whether or not XRP is centralized. And so McAvey is stating that XRP is centralized because you have to trust Ripple. Matt Hamilton responds, "No, you don't. That is the whole point." McAvey says, "No, I don't trust centralized systems because they are all rotten." Matt responds, "I agree, me neither." McAvey responds, "You believe in XRP, so give me a break." Matt responds, "Yes, exactly, because I think that decentralized networks are the future." And McAvey responds to that, A centralized network architecture is built around a single server, XRP ledger in parentheses, that handles all the major processing. Less powerful workstations connect to the server and submit the requests to the central server rather than performing them directly." And Matt responds, "Right, but the XRP ledger is not a single server, is it? That is the entire point of a decentralized network. How would it be decentralized if it ran on a single server? Currently, over 1,000 nodes are on the network." And then he provides a link to that, and you can click on that if you want, because I will provide the link below. And McAvey responds, "Yes, read again my post. Less powerful." And then Matt responds, "You seem very confused. What do you mean less powerful in this context? The XRP ledger is a peer-to-peer network. There is no more powerful servers on it. Each one has the same authority as any other." And then he just retweeted his own tweet again here. A centralized network architecture is built around a single server XRP ledger that handles all the major processing. Less powerful workstations connect to the server and submit their requests to the central server rather than performing them directly. So we just repeated it, and again, that is not how the XRP ledger works. Matt responds, "Right, but there is no central server. That is the entire point of a decentralized network. The clue is in the name." McAvey responds, "XRP is just a pseudo-decentralized token." Matt responds, "No, it is actually decentralized. And the network it resides on is more functionally decentralized than Bitcoin's blockchain." And I love that, because right now, McAvey, he has to be a Bitcoin maximalist. He's another one of those guys out there, and he either is willfully ignorant or what? What's the motive here? But you run into these guys all the time on Twitter. And then McAvey responded, "Block time for XRP, question mark?" And then another tweet from him. "Ripple is interesting." No, this is a quote from Satoshi Nakamoto. This is a real quote. "Ripple is interesting in that it's the only other system that does something with trust besides concentrate it into a central server." Okay, did you hear that? So, and this is so funny how they got into this. They started getting into what the word "besides" means. Oh man! So clearly, when you hear, let me read it again. "Ripple is interesting that it's the only other system that does something with trust besides concentrated into a central server." With "besides" meaning other than, right? Other than concentrated into a central server. That's not how McAvey read it, and you're about to find out. Then he tweeted out, "So XRP does something with the trust beside concentrated into a central server, and it's Satoshi's word, not mine." And Matt responded, "Yup." That was it. And then McAfee responded, central server, in all caps with 4 question marks, because it's getting intense here. And then McAfee responded again then, wrote, what is a centralized network? And then he's got this definition here. A centralized network architecture is built around a single server that handles all the major processing. Less powerful workstations connect to the server and submit the requests to the central server rather than performing them directly. This can include applications, data storage, and utilities. And then he writes, so again, Matt Hamilton, if any central server exists, it's centralized. And then Matt responds, I agree with you on that. But there is no central server. Even your hero Satoshi acknowledges that. And this is where it gets funny to me. And then McAfee writes, beside, in all caps, my friend, you don't know English? I am Romanian, and I understand what beside means better than you. Yeah, you don't, though. Okay. And then he puts his tweet there again. He says, beside concentrated into central server. And Matt responds, no, you apparently don't. Besides means other than. For example, Satoshi is saying that Ripple is interesting in that it is a system that does not concentrate trust in one location. And then McAfee responds, OMFG, IBM, and he's tweeting to IBM and at IBM blockchain because Matt Hamilton works at IBM. So he's tweeting OMFG to IBM, fire this guy. He doesn't even know what beside means. Besides, and then he puts here, adverb, addition, also, moreover, furthermore, otherwise, else. And then somebody jumped in here, and this was helpful. Tempe Officers Association. And then he writes this, and then links to something. He wrote, Satoshi is using it as a preposition. Replace besides in his sentence with except or in addition to, and ask which one makes more sense. It's except. He's likening it to Bitcoin, right? And this is abundantly clear to probably everybody that's listening to this right now, right? And then somebody named Professor Meow wrote, I muted the conversation a while back, then this popped up on my feed about the meaning of besides. Oh my, it devolved so hard, LOL. It certainly did. And Matt responded to that, yes, I know. This idiot deciding that something means the opposite of what it says because they can't read a full sentence. So, I'm having a good time with this. Anyway, McAfee then responds, idiot is probably your father for giving your mom bad seeds. Ripple and XRP are S-word coins. Besides, they are driving trust to central server. And then Matt writes, when you are in a hole, stop digging. There is no central server. It's decentralized. There are over 1,000 servers on the network. You can run your own server. And that's such a valid point. You know, when people talk about XRP being centralized, one of my favorite retorts to that is when XRP Trump, I've talked about him on the channel before, he hasn't been around for like half a year or something like that, but he used to be very involved in the XRP community. And when somebody would say XRP is centralized, he'd point a global map which shows where all of the validators are, and he'd say, which one is the central point of failure? Because they're all, if it's a validator, it's a validator. There's no special permissions on the network. Of course, you're like, which one's the point of failure? And, without fail, there was no response to that because XRP Ledger is decentralized. That's it. Okay, and then somebody else jumps in here now. I think McAfee's done if memory serves here. But we'll just call them Excelsior Returns. Excelsior. I don't know. All right, so decentralization is a means to an end. The end is censorship resistance. If XRP was censorship resistant, it would be used on darknet markets. It isn't. What's the reason? Change my mind. And then Matt responds, I have no idea why it is not. Maybe just due to the misinformation spread by Bitcoin maximalists, or maybe people on darknets want to use a privacy coin like Monero. Being censorship resistant like XRP might not be enough if you want privacy too. XRP is a public ledger. Excelsior responds, your inability to explain this should give you pause. The lack of uptake of XRP on DNM is a huge red flag for me. It tells me it isn't as censorship resistant or synonymous as its supporters think. Good luck, I'll stick with Bitcoin. All right. So it's not being used on the dark web for nefarious things, and then that means it's centralized. What a terrible argument. Anyway, Matt responds, you do you. You can base your investment decision on which coin is best used to buy drugs and hitmen and is struggling to cope with even current usage levels. I'll base mine on which has the potential to disrupt the entire global movement of value. And Excelsior responds, the coins best used to buy drugs and hitmen also happen to be the best coins used to subvert hostile regimes by political prisoners and evade capital controls imposed by corrupt governments. Choose wisely. Matt responds, So why do you support Bitcoin then, considering it is mostly controlled by a handful of mining pools in a single country with an authoritarian regime, and it doesn't offer any privacy features? And Excelsior responds, because it's censorship resistant. It is relatively private and has the right incentive structure. I don't agree that miners are authoritarian. At least they aren't behaving that way. Man, you should consider the possibilities, Excelsior. Anyway, Matt responds, and I'll end the thread here. It isn't as censorship resistant as XRP, no. And relatively private is not that reassuring when you're talking when you are talking governments here. The incentive structure causes more centralization, so not sure that is right. And miners are not authoritarian, but regimes are. So take that for what it's worth here. Here's a tweet, and this is a fun one too, from Darren Politina. And he writes, one day we will see something that looks like this. And I covered part of this on my channel in the past. There's a guy named Greg Schoen, if that's how you pronounce his name. And this is a real tweet, what I'm putting up on the screen right here. It's from May 17th of 2011. And he tweeted out, I wish I had kept my 1,700 Bitcoin at 6 cents instead of selling them at 30 cents. Now that they're worth $8. And of course, as I'm recording this, I don't know what the current price is. It's somewhere around like $12,000 per coin right now. And so, yeah, kind of be kicking yourself like that. And so somebody made a mock-up of this with the same guy, Greg shown here. This one's not real, of course, because it's in the future. It's dated May 17th, 2022, but it's his same real picture, and it's his real Twitter handle. And it states, damn, I wish I had kept my 50,000 XRP. I sold at 35 cents, and now it's trading at $200. I guess I'll never learn. And so I just got a chuckle out of it, so I thought I'd share. This guy, he's been interviewed since then by more than one individual, and he has certainly made peace. He's not kicking himself too hard for this. And, in his defense, there was no way to know almost a decade later, over 8 years later, that Bitcoin would be valued the way in which it is. So I certainly don't begrudge anybody for de-risking back then as he did. It's just kind of funny to think about the opportunity had he kept it, and then kind of point out that there are going to be people saying things along these lines. So that point's well taken. There will be people stating with tweets like this about XRP just selling too soon. It'll be fun to look back in another decade. I'm sure there will be instances of that. All right, last piece, then I'll wrap up the video here. This is from Cointelegraph.com, and it is titled, Amazon wants to build a blockchain for ads, new job listing shows. Amazon is looking to hire a software development engineer to develop an advertisement blockchain. Amazon works on an advertising blockchain. Posted a job offer on LinkedIn for a software development engineer for its Colorado team who is supposed to work on an advertisement blockchain. The online retail behemoth aims to grow its advertisement business by leveraging its online retail data, industry-leading cloud services, and a fast-moving startup culture. The Post declares, our new team in Boulder, Colorado, is looking for a senior software engineer to work within our advertising fintech team focused on a blockchain ledger, billing and reconciliation systems to provide data transparency on transnational financial data. The chosen engineer's role will consist of requirements analysis, lead design, implementation, and deployment of core components, interfacing with engineers and program managers. The position will also be responsible for the operational support and maintenance of the systems. Furthermore, the engineer will also have an opportunity to define the technical and architectural roadmap for the systems. The company noted that it prefers candidates with experience in the advertisement, financial technology, and blockchain. As Cointelegraph reported in May, Amazon has been awarded a patent for generating Merkle trees as a solution to the proof-of-work algorithm. Still, the exact plans of the company remain unclear. Now, presumably, it would probably be a fair assumption that there will not be a native digital asset on this blockchain. Blockchains can be useful even without that. I'm just taking a stab at that. I'm willing to bet there isn't. It's silly to me, in fact, that there are over 2,000 cryptocurrencies out there that have native digital assets, and it's not necessary for the concept of the blockchain to be utilized in the first place. I've only found one where you really need it for a proposed idea, and it's XRP. Out of all the thousands of cryptocurrencies that exist, that's the only one that needs to have its own currency, and so that's why I'm so skeptical of the rest. Even if the ideas behind these projects are good in and of themselves, it doesn't make sense, so far as I can see, to include negative digital assets. To me, especially as it pertains to the ICOs, it was just a money grab anyway. But you can tell me what you think. You can tell me I'm wrong. That's fine. That's it for the video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!